afternoon, sir. I'm Pooja from Engineering Mathematics, and here we are for EGO Campus Program training. And we are with queries of different faculties of campuses which belong to different campus of India.
That's right.
Yes, sir. So will you please guide us about how they have to start this working and how they get the projects?
Yeah, that's right. But can we just address a couple of questions one by one?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sir. First, Mr. Ramesh has asked you who will give the training to them, I mean these faculties.
Right. So for the training, I think we have to evolve and we have to come up with the ecosystem wherein all the stakeholders of the academic institutions and NIC and Ministry of Information Technology, how we can work together and provide effective training to all the faculty members. And that is very much achievable, and we need to just start working towards that, and we need to identify the champions from each and every colleges. So for this to kickstart the job, so that is the option we can have.
And one more query is from one campus. It's like, do they have some separate cell for EGO campus program? Do they need?
Well, it's not mandatory, but one can certainly think for setting up one dedicated cell, but that cell is nothing to do with the physical premise and all, but there has to be some dedicated a module of the institution where a couple of faculties along with few students can work and can have the brainstorming session and can work out some projects, how they can integrate various processes within the institution, and they can roll it on, keeping in mind the e-governance framework. Yeah.
And some faculty wants to know, do they need to involve with the students with their campus programs?
Of course, yes. I think that is a necessity, and without the students, we can't achieve whatever the core, concept of e-governance is there. Once the students are equipped with the concept of e-governance, they would be the ambassador of this concept, and they will move out, and they will be the savvy consumer of this concept, and they would really help in other institutions in the organization wherever they will go.
And one more question I got, it's like, do the students who are going to participate in this EGO campus programs, which you will assign them, do they get some kind of certificate or something extra?
Well, that can be worked out, and I think we need to work closely with the Ministry of IT and NIC, where we can have one system in place where such initiatives can be encouraged, and all the involved students can be awarded. So, yeah.
And Mr. Ramesh has asked again, what would be the team size? I mean, faculty size, and is this necessary to have only 5 to 10 people team?
It is flexible. There is no thumb rule for that. But to begin with, I think to start, I think one faculty along with 3 to 4 students is a good size. At least they can initiate maybe a single process, and they can start the concept of e-governance in the institution. They can start within their own department, and they can go further, and that is how they can include more and more people the moment they set up a success story.
What are the projects done for Andhra Pradesh? Is there some projects for Andhra Pradesh? Do we work on state-wise or?
You see, it is not like Andhra Pradesh or any state-wise kind of a thing, but we need to work towards a core concept of e-governance. So it really doesn't matter whether you are working state-wise or region-wise. Basically, we need to work towards a concept of e-governance, and any institution is good enough to to start with. Yeah.
Sir, one more query is from my side. Is this necessary that only third year and fourth year students can be involved?
No, I don't think so. I mean, any year, students of any year, keeping in mind their capabilities and all, we need to certainly make a category, because the first year students, they are raw, but they can be exposed to how they can be the part of data collection, right, and how they can be part of information gathering from outside the institution, right, from their surrounding, area, maybe the block level. They can go and they can find out how many cinema halls are there, how many petrol pumps are there, how many institutions
kind
are
of
there.
survey.
Yeah, a kind of, I mean, data collection, right? Maybe a week-long exercise, but they need to know the importance of the data.
Yes, sir.
Once they bring the data in, then you need to further do some analysis part of it. Then sky's the limit. Then probably that's a starting point, and that is how you need to grow. And the second year students, they can work more in that. They can go much deeper inside that. How many pensioners are there in the city, right? How many? What is the age group in different students, and how many persons from the age group of 35 to 45 in that city, and so on and so forth. So basically, we need to convey the message of the importance of data, and how data can be very instrumental in doing some kind of a prediction and making some effective and useful analysis.
Actually, sir, as I got calls from different campuses,
Right.
and they are all interested in how when they can get the projects and
You
how
see,
can
the projects is not like we have the project and we'll be awarding the project. The project has to be conceptualized at the institution level, right?
Yes, sir.
And they can approach the appropriate department or the ministry,
Okay.
right? And they have the project, and these are the ideas, new ideas or the innovative ideas they have, and how the government can support those ideas. But even if they, I mean, at the institution level, at least they can start and working towards solving the institutional problems, right? And that is how they should make the foundation, and they grow.
Okay. Actually, sir, Pooja ma'am wants to know how will you people give the topic for projects and
Of course, then we can certainly work out the different kind of topics, different areas where we can explore the possibility and synergize different stakeholders, right? And how different problems can be assigned to different institutions, keeping in mind the capacity and also the understanding of the core area.
sir, as Ramesh sir has again asked me the tenure of the project. I would like to answer him. It depends on the project. It can take
It depends not only on the project, but what capacity we have at the institution level, and how much hours we can put in there. If we can dedicate a team, right? So it can vary from 3 to 6 months. If we don't have the dedicated manpower, it can vary from 6 to 12 months, and that is how.
and first of now, as they just got the nomination from our side that they can work for Eagle Campus program now. So what they have to exactly now do, and what would be their next step? What they have to do? They have
I think they need to compile the realistic resources, what they can allocate in setting up and starting working towards EAGLE, and also how much resources they can put in, and what is their institutional roadmap to achieve that objective. Right.
So, sir, would you give us some light about the past projects of e-governance?
You see, it is important to understand the core concept of e-governance, right?
Yes, sir.
Basically, it's a governance, and how you can make it more transparent, right? How you can make the information more available to stakeholders of that institution. So stakeholders are the students and the parents of the students, right? The faculty, the management, right? And the government, and the associated agencies with this institution, right? So what kind of information they want to make it more available, readily available to the community, and also how that information or the databases can help all the stakeholders and the community at large. Yeah.
And, sir, could you please tell us some projects, name of the projects? Like I have name something like Aadhaar card. That was a project of e-governance.
Of course. Yeah, that's a national level,
Yes, sir.
right?
That is national.
And now you think the gravity and the amplitude of that project, even they are just capturing the information of each and everyone in this country, right? And they are getting the biometric details, they are getting all such kind of details, and they are coming out with one identification, right? Which identifies that so and so person lives there. So it's one kind of authentication of the information, right?
Yes, sir.
So first the information capturing, then the validation of that information and giving it back to the stakeholder. And the same information is going all other agencies who are directly or indirectly relationship with that database, right? The same thing is there, that how much information they have about any student or the faculty within the institution, and what is the spread of that information, right? How they are utilizing that information so that that information becomes more useful and more beneficial for the students itself in the future, right?
Is there any a particular contact person in a particular area, sir?
You see, in area in terms of e-governance,
Yes, sir. It's like state-wise, people belong to different district levels, and they want to know to whom they have to contact.
you see, first of all, they need to set up the team within the institution,
Yes, sir.
right? Once they set up the team within the institution, then probably, you people can help them to escalate their issue to the next level. It could be the district level, NIC, right? NIC at the district level, and they can help you at large, right? By providing sufficient information. Now, you need to also understand that the government has initiated a mammoth exercise, and they have started giving the data, right, from all the ministries in the form of the open data, right? And that is available on the data.gov.in. So all the ministries are providing the data, and you can utilize the data. And now I invite all the institutions to use that data and come out with beautiful information for the society, because that data can be understood only by the students like you have in your institution, right? So how that data can be exploited and converted into information and knowledge. That is how. So I think this is the biggest project all of us we have, and we have huge data with us, and probably we need to spend much of time to convert that data into information.
Now Ravi sir has joined us.
So let's ask everybody which college.
Yes, sir.
So we have received another question from Mr.
Siddharth.
Siddharth Chaube.
Yeah.
He's asking that the projects which institution has to pick will be provided by how do we find out those projects? How do they search those projects?
Yeah, it's not a kind of searching. I think the important thing is to motivate the in-house faculty and the students, right? Once you form the group to work on eGov, right? Then how they understand and how they can be exposed to the information base available with them, right? As I just said, data.gov.in is a huge platform for all the students of all the engineering colleges, right? Even if you pick the data of one ministry, right? It is worth a year project, right? And I urge and I invite all of you to take part in that exercise, and you utilize that data and come up with all kind of information which can be provided directly to the community.
So this was Mr. Siddharth Chaube who would ask this question.
Yeah.
There is another question from Mr. Sagar, who is from BNRV GIET. His question is: can the generated projects from the campus, is there an opportunity of these projects getting fund from Ministry of IT?
Of course, yes. Why not? I mean, if you have a brilliant idea, innovative ideas, the ministries are there to support all those ideas. And I think in the last eGov campus meet, I think the secretary there and the advisor of the ministry has announced that they have plenty of opportunities to support such kind of projects and initiative.
I mean, they have to just think first.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. There's a huge
First,
possibility.
they have to think
Yes.
about different ideas.
So now there is another question from Miss Priyanka Roy.
Right.
She's asking that she's asked 3 questions. Question number 1 is: what will be the nature of responsibility of the members? Will they be responsible for the programming or coding? What kind of work would that entail?
Okay.
First of all,
Right. Actually,
Actually,
eGov is I mean, should not be interpreted in terms of hardcore coding and programming and all. That is an integral part of it. The most important part here is to understand the philosophy of it, how to conceptualize it, how to integrate various institutional processes in that, right? And accordingly, I mean, now the coding is another domain, but I request you to just explore the world of open source, right? Open source give you a lot of opportunities where you find the ready-made application which are state-of-the-art application you can directly embed in the institution, and they are just on very next time.
Miss Priyanka, she's from Dr. B.C. Roy Engineering College from Durgapur, West Bengal. She's got one more question.
Yeah.
She's asking: will there be any training for this program for the participating members?
I think that's a good idea, and I think we need to explore how we can impart training. Basically, it's more interaction, right? And how we can exchange our ideas, how we can understand from each other and learn from each other. And I think we must have a couple of training programs, not the training program, but the interactive programs where we can share information from each other. And of course, how a project on eGov can take off. Yeah, definitely.
Sir, I think we might be answering this question again, but from Hyderabad, this campus VNR, Vigna Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mr. Jalandhar, the question is that I think there is this same question that do colleges need fund to initiate or start e-governance projects? So I think
I think, yeah, as you said, yeah, I've already addressed that, because you need not to allocate the funds and all. You need to leverage on the existing resources what you have in the institution, and how you can allocate some of the time from the faculty and the students to work on those. So I don't think that you need to allocate the separate funding for such programs. I think this should be the part of the institutional culture.
Sir, this is Mr. Pranil from Srinivasa Ramanujan Institute of Technology, Anantapur. The first question Mr. Pranil is asking is: what is the format in which we have to send our research proposal?
I think for the research proposal, you go to any respective department site or the ministry site. They have all the formats available on their sites. You please download and just go ahead. There's a very simple forms. Anybody can understand their language. You simply go one by one and fill out and you need to be clear what you are proposing.
Mr. Vijay Kumar Gandhavi from Science Institute of Technology, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The question is, they're still, I think it's an incomplete question. They want to know if they can work on this topic, literature on cyber crime.
You see, of course, I mean, this is an open word. You can pick this topic, but how you will relate it to eGov, right? So, cyber crime is another, emerging area which is very serious, and we need to seriously work on those, how to prevent such things. So, it is a good program, and it is a good research program. It's a good academic program, and it's still growing. I mean, the need to counter such attacks, we need to be equipped. So our youngsters should be equipped with all such kind of knowledge. So definitely all different kind of knowledge from various domains needs to be disseminated to the community, right? So one way of you are making all your processes more transparent by using the concept of better governance supported by electronic means, right? And how you are generating the knowledge base, and how that knowledge base can be given to the community.
So there is this college in Havda, MCKV Institute of Engineering. Mr. Inderjeet, he says that I am a researcher in image processing, and he also has some experience in Linux systems. So how can he add? How can he do eGov project? What kind of topic would suit him?
I think he has been working core fundamental research areas on image processing and Linux as a platform, of course. But in e-governance, he can certainly contribute in various segments where maybe the biometric database compilation of all the students and the faculty member, how he can be helpful of setting its own directory based on its core competency, which is image analysis. Maybe he can come up with a system like image recognition or the biometric recognition system for all the students to provide the access to the confidential resources. So one has to think, I may be wrong, but one has to think innovatively how their capabilities can be utilized within the institution in different domains.
Sir, Ms. Pooja Mehta from SL Institute of Technology and Engineering, she is asking that can we select a domain on our own, like healthcare for e-governance?
Of course.
I think.
I'm just throwing in a question that how many institutions are there? I'm sure there must be most of them. But how many institutions and how they are managing their information base in terms of the health record of all their students and the faculty, right? Have they done the health profile of all the students, right? So if we start doing it, so you must be having a fantastic database, right? And you can also be very helpful for the community, keeping in mind the surroundings, that how their health can be improved, right? By changing a couple of parameters within their institution. It could be food, it could be sanitation, it could be many other factors.
Sir, Mr. G.S. Ramesh from VNR VJIT saying, can you suggest some government organizations to whom we can contact for projects? So, I think.
I've already answered it, but again, there is no issue. I mean, you can talk to NIC, you can talk to DITI, you can talk to DST, you can talk to DSIR. There are many organizations like the Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Information Technology. There are multiple schemes, right? You just go and look at the project, research areas, and accordingly you can submit it.
Mr. Srinivas Ramanujan from Srinivas Ramanujan Institute of Technology, Anantapur. Mr. Pranil is saying, is there any tentative dates for training program for us?
Well, we need to work that out. I think this fall we can organize because we need at least a full dedicated day. We need to dedicate a day for this program, right? We need to work out because traveling for all of you would be little difficult. So we find out the ways in which we can have the virtual training session, and I think we need to explore such kind of possibilities, right? To be more interactive without wasting a lot of time in commuting. Right. So I think by end of this month or beginning of next month we can certainly work out a program.
Sir, Mr. Siddharth from Bhilai, from Sri Shankaracharya Technical Campus, he is asking that once they design the proposal or once they design the eGov plan, so can they send it across to us for help, guidance, or where would they get guidance from?
Why not? I think you guys need to facilitate this process. I think it's a noble cause. Why did you become a kind of a facilitator to provide necessary and adequate information to all the institutions, right? And supporting this cause.
So to answer this question, we would say that on behalf of Engineering Watch, because we are very happy that today at least 100 campuses are there discussing this, something which was never discussed before. And we are also happy to know that one of the campuses in Hyderabad took initiative. They've taken few topics and started working on those topics rather than thinking that how would I get a project and how would I get money or etc. from for that project. So I think at least the good part is there are 100 campuses, there are so many people talking about it, and now so far as I can understand from sir, he's saying that the journey is our own. Yes, guidance would be available, and Engineering Watch magazine is of course there to act as a platform so that we can get in experts like Dr. Sanjeev Singh. Under his mentorship, we'll get more experts in so that they can guide the campuses on if the project proposals are good enough, and you can certainly, the colleges can certainly reflect upon their proposals and ideas through us.
And I think all the projects can be mentored based on different capabilities of different people. We have great people around us. We have many people who would really ready to support this cause.
So maybe if colleges and campuses come out with a good
Absolutely.
proposal,
Sure.
so there can always be mentors from industry or from academia that can oversee that project. And certainly once you have a project plan, once you have mentors with them, and the seriousness of the campus and of individuals, I think then getting funds, getting additional resources from government or industry is very simple and has got a own charted path. So once, I think that is more important.
Absolutely.
Sir, I have another question from Jalinder from VNR Vigna Jyoti Institute of Engineering Technology, Hyderabad. He's saying that can we use TQIP funds for establishing e-governance cell in our campus?
Why not?
Okay, so of course,
We can explore the possibility, because government, they have the different scheme for different purposes, right? If you find that is in their mandate, definitely you can. And I really don't think that you need a heavy funding or a special kind of funding for setting up e-governance cell, right? I mean, this should be the part of the institute, right? And once it is the part of the institute, then you will find a lot of difference in executing any process, whether it's related to students or the faculty or anybody, right? Then probably within that you can explore the possibility to having the projects under TQIP and many other similar schemes from the government.
so Miss Ankita Gandhi has a question. She wants to know how can we find open research problems in specific areas so we can give students topic regarding open research problems. So again, the question is how to identify problems.
Right. I think this is more to do with our own internal, analysis, right? And I think we need to do, first of all, our own requirement analysis. Once we have our own requirement clear to us, probably we need to start solving them first, right? And then we need to move out. Once we are done with our own solutions, right? Well, in-house solution, probably we are better equipped. We are better equipped and probably will be more capable of catering to the different kind of problems.
Mr. Gaurav Garg has a question. Some of the companies are already involved in eGov projects like Infosys, etc. How many students get the projects and how they will be interacting with these organizations?
Well, now these are the different kind of structure where the corporate houses, they are also working, and majorly they are working in eGov projects. But how their commercial model allows to work and how you can innovate in tying up and synergize in different domains to work with the companies like what you have just mentioned, Infosys and other, right? And this is purely a management call, right? But I think institutions should start their own, own culture to work on the eGov problems.
I think I would like to add on Mr. Gaurav's question on how I think what we are trying to do is we are trying to find out governance problems in campus itself and trying to find a solution with our expertise. Once I don't see a direct mapping of how companies would be interested in this and in solving our own problems. So I think students have to be trained, and once the faculties are trained, and that is what we are also finding out a date that where training can be provided and a knowledge sharing can happen, something like this session. So once that is done, an in-house expertise has to be developed, and once the students have expertise and experience in this, they can further find employment in companies like Infosys, TCS, and so on and so
They'll
forth.
be better equipped actually.
Yeah.
They'll be more informed students. They'll have better prospects.
So, Mr. Vivek Kaushal from Himachal Institute of Engineering and Technology, Vidyanagar, Kangra, Himachal Pradesh, he is saying that the technology is changing and the programming languages are changing. What support can they expect from us for adaptability of our faculty within the campus? I think you are asking about the same question of training, for which I think
Actually, now the programming and all these languages and platforms should not be, kept as a bar. I mean these are the, the platforms, right? They keep changing, right? And also, it's a responsibility and the duty of the faculty members and the students to be updated and to cope up with the recent changes, and also to how to cater to the emerging needs of the technology world. So right now, if platform A is in place, probably after 6 months' time, a new platform as a technology would be there to where your problem can be better, solved. So you need to be equipped, right? So we can't freeze a particular platform and all, but now the technology platform is becoming more robust, ubiquitous, right? More available and more, platform independent, right? So we need to talk more on those issues, right? And probably in our proposed training session, we'll address these issues, that what is the right platform for us. And now you see is a time of convergence, right? And now we need to integrate everything which can be delivered through a common platform. And nowadays common platform is just a browser, right? So whether you're using the smart devices, mobile devices, desktop, if you have the browser and if you are connected to the network, and probably the application should be pushed through that and they should be made available. There should not be any dependency what client or what platform or the user is using. So I think that can be deliberated during our training sessions.
Dr. Santosh Kumar from Graphic Era University, Dehradun, he is saying that if someone is interested on big data, where can we get data?
Right. I mean, to answer this, probably are we done with our own data, right? If we are done with that, probably we need to think on those lines, right? But I mean, I'll just give you an example, right? If you just look at the size of books or the number of books available in National Congress Library, right? And probably, and also what is the size Amazon is having, right, in their databases, and how many transactions are happening every second, or probably nowadays millisecond, right? If we are able to cater to such kind of scenarios, then probably we are equipped to look at the big data problem. Still, the Amazon is not considered as a big data, right? So probably big data is the next step where we need to undertake many other issues, right? First of all, we need to understand and we need to adapt our own available data, and we need to be capable of processing that data what is available to us.
Sir, Mr. Gaurav Garg from Baba Farid Institute in Punjab, he's saying that what is the possibility of involving humanity or social sciences students in the whole eGov model?
I think this is very, very good question, and this is very important. And the importance of humanities and social sciences students is very important and very critical for any e-governance project, because these are the people who really understand the needs and different kind of requirements of the community, right, and the society. They are the people who can understand and interpret back to the yourself that what is really required. Right. So these are the things, and this is I really appreciate this question. I mean, he has raised. So we must create an ecosystem where all stakeholders, all the segments of the institution should take active part in that. Right. Only with the help of technology, nothing can be solved. You need right kind of mix of all kind of people who can really understand and interpret in terms of the language of the community. Right.
Mr. Sivaram Raju, is a question. The Ministry of IT has announced some thrust areas in eGov for funding. Why can't some projects related to that can be discussed? He's got some specific.
Definitely, there are many schemes, many announcements from the government side, right? And probably they have their own dimensions, their own objectives, right? And you need to understand that objective, and you should take part in that, right? Right now, I'm not able to comment on any scheme because unless you read it thoroughly and also to know the requirement of that scheme, you can't come in. But of course, anybody should go in for that, and if you find that your problem is much relevant to that scheme, you must apply.
Sir, from GL Bajaj Group of Institutions, Mathura, Gaurav Kumar has a question. He's saying that, do you mean that we have to think about an idea and try to develop it? I think that
Yes,
is what.
absolutely.
So that's what we're saying, that we have to find out a problem within a campus, because campus is a wonderful.
Campus is a platform. Campus is a place where you may have problems, and the best part is you have the potential to solve that problem. That is a combination a campus provides to the students, right?
So Professor Vijay Gadvi from SL Institute of Technology, Ahmedabad, Gujarat, he is saying that he has an experience of CIP, SILPA projects, e-governance, Government of India for Gujarat section implementation. He is saying that, are these topics appropriate? Online banking, fraud solution is current issue, real-time malware protection and complex device fingerprinting.
Right. I think this is another important dimension of it, and this is important for us to make our students and the young generation understand about the criticality of online business or online culture. So first of all, the biggest issue is to make them understand the importance of the privacy, right? How a person can protect their own identities and personal information. Probably in today's time, I have lost my identity to the world, right? Because at that time there was not enough information when we started working over the network, right? And at that now it is almost impossible for me to retrieve all that information what I have provided to the network, right? So I think the younger generation need to be taught on these issues, and so that they are more aware about the frauds and the crimes are happening over the network. I think this is important.
Mr. Bhaskar Pant has a question, sir. Can we send the research proposal on bioinformatics because many biological data is available on the internet? Mr. Bhaskar Pant is associate professor in Department of Information Technology at Graphic Era University, Dehradun.
Right. I think, Mr. Pant, you need to just look at. I would advise you to look at one very important site, which is data.gov.in, and you'll find the tons of data from Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Social Justice, maybe from the Supreme Court, Parliament. Huge data is available, and specific to your bioinformatics, the Ministry of Science and Technology has also provided some data. So I don't know what kind of area, what kind of problem under bioinformatics you would like to carry. Unless I know that, probably I can't comment. But you have the data available. But whatever the data available on the internet in free domain, I cannot comment on that, because you need to be sure on the authenticity of the data. But of course, on data.gov.in, you are having all the authentic data with you.
So I think in terms of I think I would want to repeat this point, because few people had questioned how do we get data and how do we get ideas on problems. So sir has rightly mentioned data.gov.in, data.gov.in. I think this is one site that everyone should visit. One, we would get a lot of data, open data, so if you can share how data.gov.in has come into picture.
Yeah. This is the amazing start from the Government of India, where all the ministries and all the different government organizations are encouraged to provide the data, right? And that data right now is in the raw format, and any layman cannot understand anything out of that data. So I think this is the responsibility of the academic institutions, the people like you, to understand the nature of data and convert that data into some valuable information. For example, health sector, right? Maybe you may get the data from how many donors are available in the database in different blood groups, right? Even if you are having the data, you will have some substantive information in this area, how many donors are available in that particular group. So at least that information can be provided to the relevant hospitals and the health centers. And similarly, if you do the profiling of from maybe the data of provided by Ministry of Agriculture, you will come to know many great things in terms of information about the crops, information about the disease in the crops, information about soil, information about weather, and so on and so forth. So I think we have the excellent platform with us, and that is available openly, right? You need to just register and explore the possibility and download the data and start building up the application. Right now, what is happening around, right? I think this is the right time. You need to just look at an IC site, data.gov.in, and tomorrow there is a national event happening in collaboration with NASSCOM, where the Open Data Challenge, right? So open application. So all of you are invited to develop an application based on that data, right? So that's a fantastic opportunity for all of you to start working in that direction.
Sir, as we move towards closure of this session, what we are essentially saying is that there are the problems, or the one is data, one is problems that are there. So we are saying that data is available, plenty of data is available within the campus. We generate so much of data,
even
which
in
can
their surrounding. They need to go to the hospital, they need to go to maybe the block office, right, to get the data, that how many from the hospital, how many patients are coming from where, what disease, right? If they compile, if they profile the, do the profiling of the hospital, they will come to know what is the disease which is more prominent in that area. And probably with the help of that information, they can go back to the health department and work out a possible solution, whether this disease is because of the water, because of the sanitation, because of air quality, because of what. Then probably they can work in removing that particular disease, right? And that is why the data is important.
Actually there are,
yes.
Actually, it is the data and the problems are everywhere.
Everywhere. So we need to work and devise a system how the information can be made available to the right person at the right time.
And you also mentioned about this is specific NIC initiative, which is data.gov.in, which people can actually come in. There is a lot of open data from ministries which is shared on this, which people can utilize to generate or to think of problem areas of the or project synopsis around that. And of course, if people can formulate a project synopsis or a summary, they can send us and we will help you out.
I think you can make the information base of all the problems, right? And you can help them to map those problems with the different kind of platforms, and there are many possibilities by which you can provide the help.
So under Sir's guidance, we will act as a platform and we'll kind of help you thresh out those problem areas. Once you decide a problem area to work upon, it is we can work on getting some guidance in terms of corporates or academic mentors, which can be assigned on around those problems, and then the funding part would eventually get in. The whole idea of funding from a ministry or government, but then there has to be
it should be the part of the institution.
Yeah, so I think this is the second phase that one should get into. First idea is to identify a problem, get data, start working on that, and get a mentor associated so that they can guide you further.
Right.
So, sir, I think I would, it will be great for all the campuses out here. You've spoken about open source.
Right.
And you'd recently, I know that you had recently out using open source. You've the great grand Delhi University admissions.
I think that was.
So if you can share that experience, that experience would be, because looking at the huge numbers of Delhi University admissions that you could do, and this was done for the first time. This was the first year. So I think it would be great inspiration, and how open source can kind of help.
You see, I think. It's not a rocket science, right? It is just how you conceptualize the problem and how you can make it happen. So I think all the frameworks are available, all the platforms are available with us. You need to just make a team of right people and identify the right time and problems, emerging problems to solve, and all the technologies are available. Why I always emphasize on open source? Because it gives you a lot of freedom, it gives you a flexibility to adopt any technology anytime without getting into the problem of licensing and all those issues, right? Copyrights and all. It empowers any institution or any individual to do more, right? Rather than getting into the legal framework. And that is how we could able to achieve to match that scale, right? So now we can port, and you need to also remember that how quickly you can migrate your one application onto another platform, how quickly you can transfer the data from one to another platform. So those kind of flexibility and the freedom is required in today's time, because we don't have time to procure the technology, right? And either you wait for that much of time, or you lose the opportunity, right? So that is how I look at open source, and it is a need of the hour.
Sir, if you can just share numbers that
you see, this year we had, I think, about more than 250,000 students who really actually logged on to the portal of our admission site, and it was overwhelming response, and our application worked beautifully, and it was a pure 100% in-house development, and it could cater to the load of that huge number and never failed, never crashed, and that is the beauty of open source. That is the robustness, right? So that is one very small example, but we have to do a much better things in terms of provisioning of new technology, and how we can leverage on existing, and how we can provide the same knowledge to other institutions who can also be more productive by using the knowledge which is being generated this place or any other place. So we need to collaborate, right? So
I mean, just for the sake of all the viewers here, I think it would help if they get to know that what all open source can do, and a little more on, I don't know how much is everybody is aware about it.
You
So
see,
what is the power of open source?
Right. As I mentioned, that it gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom, right? It is not only it provides you the right choice of technology, and also the immediate solution to cater to the immediate problem, right? And I think worldwide, and if you just look at now, if you take the very small example that this is now is a necessity to have a website, right? Web presence for every institution, right? So what platform you use, and if you are equipped with open source technology, open source framework, probably you don't have to invest that much of money which we have been spending, right? And probably you own that. Right now, most of the institutions, they don't own whatever they have the online infrastructure, but now the time is to own that and giving it back to the development community. Even if you want to share or contribute to that community, if you feel that you are empowered by using open source. So open source, whether it is available right from the desktop or the mobile device, or it can go up to the enterprise class, whether you talk about enterprise resource planning, or the campus management, or the human resource management, or the student management, or any kind of application, right? Or to automate any process, right? So it could, we have the fantastic solution for relationship management, resource management, inventory management. There are any number of things, right? So probably I think this could be one of the important theme in our proposed training programs. And probably what we can do is we can compile a resource kit which is built around open source, and which we can distribute to all the institutions, right? I think that we can do.
Great. I think we've answered most of the questions. We've received hundreds of queries, and many of these queries were very similar in nature. I think we've answered most of the queries, and there is a...
Well, I mean, this is a very short time, but I think one of the training program would give us more opportunity to interact more on a different, domains, to talk in more detailed fashion.
There have been questions to us that would this video be available after this, so yes, this video will be available on YouTube after our discussion is over. And yes, I mean, you've got any questions, queries on this, further on this, you can of course write to us on email. And Engineering Watch on our front will be acting as a platform to kind of bring the interested and curious campuses which are interested in terms of doing something in this space. And we will be, through under Sir's guidance, we will bring in more experts as mentors to you. And as I said, you can certainly write to us on getting a reflection on your thoughts, on your problem points, etc. So I think, sir, anything that you want to add in as a summary?
No, I think I would like to continue, but the time is because we can't address all the queries. But I think more or less we are talking on the same wavelength, right? And probably we need a couple of more such sessions, and I think everybody is ready to start, right? So we need to just look at the right time where everyone can start their activities in terms of the e-government. Right?
I think though we are not, it's not a two-way process, but then we have already started.
And probably next time we'll have the two-way session.
We have already started getting a positive reply. Mr. Sivaram Raju from SRKR Engineering College, he's saying that let's arrange this workshop interaction, and he's also hoping that Engineering Watch should take initiative. Yes, sir, Engineering Watch is indeed taking initiative. We will do this training session and to take it to the next level. So please.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for this, and let's.
Thanks everyone.
Let this initiative be taken forward from there.